Welcome back to the Kinaxis Quick Start video series with Morgan Franklin. I'm Gerhart, and today I'll be walking you through a demo of new product introduction planning as part of the broader product lifecycle management process in RapidResponse. New product introductions are a common challenge we see with many of our customers. It can be tricky to stay on top of planning for new products as they go through certain developmental stage gates, which frequently result in supply chain needing to utilize temporary part numbers and/or reference products. But the good news is Kinaxis has fantastic functionality to help navigate these complexities and ensure that supply chain has the materials and capacity available to manufacture and deliver the products to meet their launch dates. Let's dive in and see what this looks like in RapidResponse. To start, we'll take a look at our SIOP demand review dashboard. Over here on the right in our demand plan building blocks chart, I can see the makeup of our demand forecast over the next several months. By drilling into any one of these bars, we can take a look at this in a bit more detail. As we can see, in terms of revenue, the majority of my forecast over the coming months is really just our baseline demand forecast. However, we do have some additions on top of that, driven by marketing assumptions and campaigns and some additional market intelligence. We can also see that a small portion is driven by new product launches, specifically in the August to October timeframe. In order to see where my new product demand is coming from, let's go back and take a look at how to model a new product launch. Here we are in the NPI and Transition Manager workbook. On the top portion of my screen, you can see that we have a part called Gen 2 Laptop. This is going to be the new product our company is launching. However, we don't have any master data created to support planning yet. But since this is just a new generation of an existing laptop, we're going to use the Gen 1 laptop, which is the L1511 part number, as the reference part for the Gen 2. We can see just to the right that our reference part is currently sold out of 4 different distribution centers, and our product and sales team have indicated that that will be the same case for a Gen 2 laptop. So I'm going to go ahead and select each of these part site combinations and also go ahead and copy the forecast for them. This will tell RapidResponse that I want to plan for the Gen 2 laptop at each of the selected sites, and I'd like to use the existing forecast from the reference part as a starting point for my Gen 2 laptop. By hitting save, I can see that a lot of new information came up on our screen. We'll take a look at the middle and bottom parts in just a minute, but let's finish looking at our top input information. So I can see over here that we are using our sales forecast on our reference part as the selected input for our new product, the Gen 2 laptop. However, I know that we have direct customer forecasts for most of our customers currently buying our Gen 1 laptop. That customer forecast is a bit more accurate, so I think we want to use that instead. To do that, I'm just going to pull up my data settings. And then for my in forecast, I'm going to switch this to customer. And we've also been told that our customer forecast against the Gen 2 laptop should be very, very similar. So I am going to switch my out forecast to the customer as well. Okay, great. Now we can go ahead and see those changes reflected here for both the customer forecast against the input and the output. Next, we're going to take a look at what customers we have set up to receive out of each of our distribution centers. Here we can see the number of customers tied to each one, and if we drill into any one of these, I can see the list of customer and site combinations set up to receive this product. So it has been conveyed to us on the supply chain team that customer C122, which is South American Computers, is not going to be receiving this new Gen 2 laptop. So they're already excluded for one of our locations, but I'll go ahead and exclude them at the second and just hit save. That will now remove this customer from forecast of the reference part being put upon it for the new part. Now back in our part selection, the last couple things I want to take a look at are our forecast ratio that's been applied. As we can see, this is set to 100%, meaning that we want to copy 100% of the customer forecast for the selected part, site, and customer combinations against the Gen 2 laptop. And we're also going to confirm that we want to start generating the output forecast on 6/1/2023. And then finally, I've pre-selected a 6-month standard launch profile. This is going to allow us to transition from the Gen 1 to Gen 2 laptop model increasingly over a 6-month time frame. Okay, now it's time to take a look at the middle portion of the screen where we can see our input forecast. So here we have our reference part L1511, the Gen 1 laptop, out of each of our distribution sites and the customers being serviced out of each one. We can see on a weekly basis what our customer forecast is for each of these time buckets. If I go ahead and flop over to our output forecast, now we're taking a look at our new part, the Gen 2 laptop. Similarly, we have our distribution centers and the sites. Take note that we don't see C1 customer C122 in the screen because we just excluded them in our customer selection process. And over here on the right, we can see that our forecast is mostly blank in these first few weeks on the screen. But if we scroll all the way to the right, once we start getting into the August timeframe, or the June timeframe, we can see that the forecast is now being populated. And again, that's based on the start date that we set above. So this is a really simple way to model a new part based on a reference when we don't yet have any master data that exists for a new product. And we can use that reference part as a starting point for our forecast on the new part. Keep in mind that we can certainly modify this forecast at any point to add intelligence that we may have about the new part, but this right here can serve as a baseline. However, RapidResponse new product capabilities don't end here. Demand planning is only one piece of the puzzle, but we also need to ensure we're getting ahead on material forecasts and capacity planning to support this new product. So if we look back at the top half of the screen, we can see two columns that say copy BOM and constraint. If I go ahead and select these, which I'm going to do for all of these combinations that we have on the screen here, and then hit save, we'll see that the BOM and the constraints against the reference part of L1511 will be copied over to the Gen 2 laptop. While we know that a few components in the BOM will be slightly different, and we don't yet have confirmation that the Gen 2 laptop will run on the same constraint as the reference part, we can still temporarily use the reference information from L1511 to start planning for most of the materials and understand if we have enough capacity on our existing lines to support the new product. Now let's look down here at the input BOM for the reference part. We can see that there's a BOM that exists at two different locations, P1002 and 2001, against the reference part. Then if I look at my output BOM, we can see that that same exact setup was copied over to our Gen 2 laptop. So we're telling RapidResponse that the new Gen 2 can be modeled at P1002 and 2001 as well. Like I said, we can certainly tweak this BOM to swap out some of these components or potentially add new ones as the BOM becomes finalized, but we'll leave it as it is for now. Similarly, we can also go ahead and take a look at the input constraints. Here, just as we saw with the BOM, we have those manufacturing sites reflected again of P1002 and 2001. At the P1002 location, we do see two different manufacturing options, with one of them being a third shift. However, over here on the right, we see that this is really being excluded and not used. So when I flip to our output constraint, we can see that's not included here either, but we still have the standard manufacturing options at sites P1002 and 2001. So from a capacity planning perspective, this is going to help us to model and see if we might potentially run into an overload situation and need to make preparations for that. So that wraps up the work that we're going to do in the NPI and Transition Manager workbook. Again, this helped us set up the master data to support planning for a new product based off of a reference part for enabling the forecast, BOM, and constraints. To wrap things up, we'll take a quick look at the planning sheet to see how RapidResponse is now planning for our Gen 2 laptop. Now, here we are in the planning sheet, which gives a high-level overview of the demand and supply against our Gen 2 laptop. We can see our total demands across the top row here. And again, this is consolidated against all of our distribution sites. And then the supply that RapidResponse is generating to meet the demand. As I look down the screen here as a planner, I'm noticing that we have some late quantity here, meaning that we're running into some late deliveries in the August timeframe. This is giving me great visibility into potential shortages that may impact our new product launch, and also gives us time to dig in and figure out what is causing this and how to address it even before our master data on this new part is finalized. Keep in mind that the same view can be analyzed for all of the product components since we copied the BOMs. So overall, this NPI functionality is really driving us to analyze how this launch is impacting our overall supply chain network and the entire product portfolio. So that's a wrap on new product planning and RapidResponse. At Morgan Franklin, we've seen how this functionality helps our clients navigate the supply chain planning challenges associated with new product launches, and we hope this has been informative for you. If you have any questions or would like to see a personalized demo or discuss your specific PLM requirements, please reach out to us at Morgan Franklin.